All right. Um, hear me well, everybody?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, great. So, how much time do I have?
I think about 45 minutes, but
Okay, or
after
less.
you, there's a break.
All
So,
right.
yeah, more or less. Whenever you.
Yes. Okay. So, hello, everyone. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to take part in another very interesting conference in Second Life on teaching and learning in 3D virtual environments. My name is Pavel Topol in real life and Paulus Twine in Second Life, and thank you for the short introduction of myself. Excuse me. Please forgive those grunting noises coming. This is my I've suffered from for many years, so I can't help that. Sorry. I teach at Adam Mickiewicz University in Poznań, Poland. I'm the head of Division for Educational Applications of Computers at Faculty of Educational Studies, and the university is pretty big. It's more than 50,000 students. And in what I do professionally in my first life, I teach IT and ICT and computer-assisted language learning at AMU, which is Adam Mickiewicz University. But and excuse me, and I also teach online at Appalachian State University, North Carolina, USA. I've been doing that for about 8 years, maybe. And I'm a teacher of English in Poland. In Second Life, I was born in 2008, and I gave some classes in the past. I gave some classes of English at the island of Vertlantis, which may be familiar to you. I was a teacher for 2 years almost. I was a teacher of English in the largest school of English in Second Life, which was Language Lab. And I also teach some educational affordances of virtual worlds to my real life students at Adam Mickiewicz University, both intramural and extramural. So this is the short introduction, and I will be talking about the research project which I conducted in the year 2011 and 2012, and the experiment that lasted one semester, which involved 70 students of humanities at Adam Mickiewicz University. And before I go to details, I will just mention very shortly the book which I published last July. Its English title is Educational Functionality of Virtual Worlds, but I here, excuse me, I emphasize that this is the English title only because the whole book was published in Polish. But I'm mentioning this book because I'm hoping it to be translated into English. If not the whole of it, maybe some major parts of it. Hopefully this year. So I'm just negotiating things with the publishing house. Excuse me. Here are the chapters, which I will not discuss at the moment. Maybe it's too early to do that, so I will just present this slide for about 10 or 20 seconds for you to look through the chapters. And if time allows, and if you would like to, I may come back to that at the end of my presentation. Well, you will decide. So I start from theory and I end up with very practical things. I chose for the theoretical background of the teaching and learning activities or performance. I concentrated on two theories, which is Albert Baldura's and Jerome Bruner's approaches. And I included them in the theory and in methodology too. In methodology too. Okay, so let's pass on. So what were the research goals? First of all, I wanted to verify educational functionality of serious virtual worlds. on the example of Second Life. So I'm in the book. I'm introducing and I'm characterizing or describing different virtual worlds, but I emphasize that I focus only on serious virtual worlds and the activities with my, oops, somebody clicked. Okay, and activities that I involved my students with were all performed in Second Life. I just didn't want to involve my student. Oh, no problem. I just didn't want to involve my students, in the technical things of learning another virtual world. So all was provided in Second Life. And second of all, I wanted to verify Second Life both as a learning environment and a teaching tool for Polish students. And you must know that Second Life is not very popular in Poland, and the literature is very poor. It almost doesn't exist. So my book is actually the first this size book in the Polish literature. So certain things that I'm mentioning in my book is introduction to maybe some even basic things, but I did it intentionally for the Polish reader. So and Polish reviewers. Okay, so I wanted to verify Second Life both as a learning environment for my students, for whom the Second Life or any 3D virtual world was a totally new environment. Out of 70 students, only one had any experience with Second Life. So that was good for me. I liked that. Okay, so let's go to the specific goals. These are a few. There are more. I'm just giving a few because time doesn't allow here to discuss all of them. So in specific goals, I wanted to measure the students' achievements in their language learning. And to measure also to measure students' emotions and their motivations, how they felt about this new environment, whether they felt eager to come back to this environment, how eager they were to perform the tests, how open they were in collaboration with the other students, because they had both individual tasks to do and group tasks to perform. And opinions, of course, opinions about Second Life and opinions about the whole project, which lasted one semester. Okay, I'm back. All right, so continuing this, who and when? The research was conducted in the academic year 2011-2012 and lasted one semester. It involved 70 intramural students of humanities. So I met them every week for the whole semester. And we could discuss things. Now, who they were? They were third-year undergraduate program at Faculty of Educational Studies, my university. There were students of 3 specializations: elementary education and English, elementary education and German, and elementary education and therapy. Now, let's just a short comment about the first 2, English and German. The graduate profile of the student was not to go to elementary schools and teach teach English, rather to have a bilingual classes of the kids, not strict teaching. And therapy, they went to the graduate profile was still is that the graduates go to teach in elementary schools to students with special needs, generally. And as you can see, the level of English with these students was different. Elementary education in English had the highest command of English. And with Germans, well, that was different, and in therapy, that was also different. Okay, and all 70 students were divided into 6 groups, 2 groups per each specializations, and we, as I said before, we meet every week in the physical world, and students received their tasks. Now, the method was a classic pedagogical experiment with control and experimental groups. And I used the rotation method, so the groups switched. So if there was a group A and group B, for example, so group A receives the tasks, is a control group and receives the task, and at the same time group B receives their tasks, and the control groups perform their tasks in a 2-dimensional environment, which is the web mainly, and the experimental groups performed their tasks, or did their tasks in Second Life, and then it switched. I collected data differently. There were tests and quizzes, of course. I measured their achievements, their language achievements. I had a lot of questionnaires which measured their emotions and motivations. We also had group discussions. I had individual interviews with them, so it was a lot of work, really a lot of work. But then it paid off when I looked at the results. When I studied all that material, it really paid off. I had a lot of material to study. Now, what was measured? Language gain, of course. So we had tests and quizzes. All the tests were online. I didn't want to deal with paper. So when I had a test or quiz, I put the quiz online, and when we met this week or another in class, in the classroom, then I asked the students just to do the test, and then the data is collected automatically, so I had the results right after class, which I could import into a spreadsheet and have all the calculations. The culture gain. Here we had also tests and quizzes. They were knowledge tests about cultures, places the students visited in Second Life. Cultures not necessarily, excuse me, connected with English or American history and culture. Not really, but I will explain that in detail in a moment. Emotions, motivation, and opinions. These tools were very similar. They were mainly questionnaires. So let's continue. Now, this is in the pedagogical experiment, this is the main task. The tasks and activity, there are many more tasks and activities, but these were 2 main ones. In the first column, you have the category and the objective. In the middle column, you have what experimental groups did. They worked in the 3D environment. They worked in Second Life. And in the third column on the right, you can see what control groups did, who worked in the 2D environment, mostly the web. So, culture gain and language gain. The students were asked to go to collect information about Canaletto, the painter, about himself, about his paintings, and about Dresden Gallery, where his paintings were presented. And unfortunately, the Dresden Gallery in Second Life doesn't exist anymore. That's really too bad, because it was a fantastic place. Osna, you will confirm. We had quite a few activities with colleague teachers and with students there. It's a fantastic place, really. A perfect replica of the whole building of the gallery from real life, with more than 700 high quality pictures, with some audio guides, with floors and ceilings with their details. Perfect, just wonderful. A great work. Okay, but this a little bit off topic. So the 3D environment, the experimental groups were asked to visit the Dresden Gallery in Second Life and explore it. Walk around, read the descriptions, and collect the information. So I gave them the exact information, what they want, what they are, or what they were to do, what they were to find and learn. And control groups, the control groups were asked to browse the web or other electronic resources for information about Canaletto, the painter, his paintings, and the Dresden Gallery itself. This was the first part of the pedagogical experiment. The students had some time to do that, and then after a few weeks, they received second task, but the groups switched. So for example, when you look at the first sort of when you look at the Dresden Gallery task, let's say the experimental groups are groups A and the control groups are groups B. So now they switch. So those groups which did their task in Second Life, now they do their shopping on the web, and those students who collected information about Canaletto on the web, now they performed the shopping task in Second Life. So language gain, I sent them okay, the task was please plan how to equip your house or apartment with furniture and items. So I asked them to imagine that they are moving to a new place, a room that they will, excuse me, a room that they will live in, a room that they will share with somebody, maybe apartment, maybe house, that didn't matter. Please think how you would like to equip it, with what, which items to put in the house or in the room, and the experimental groups did their shopping in English Village. There's an island in Second Life called English Village, a very nice, not a big one, but very nice. So walk and shop. That was a simulation of shopping. I didn't want them to do shopping. I didn't want them to spend their lindens on anything. No. So their task was to go to the shop, find certain items. I gave them the list of the items I wanted them to find, and their task was to go to this or that shop, find those objects, and write down their prices. Yes, Osna, you're right. You're right. This was an official reason actually that they reported that they couldn't afford it anymore. That's too bad. And the students in control groups were asked the same thing. So they were given a list of items, and they were sent to the web and to find some nice ones they liked, and also note down their prices and the link to that online shop. But I wanted them to go to shops only, not excluding auctions, because that changes. And then I wanted to visit the shops they chose for those items, me or other students from the group. Okay, so there was also a simulation because excuse me, I said it very clearly that please do not buy anything. This is just a simulation. Okay, so this is what the Dresden Gallery in Second Life looks like. This is a general view. I will not talk about it anymore right at the moment, but whenever, if ever, the Dresden Gallery comes back to Second Life, please note that fact and visit that place. If it appears in the same look as it was before, it would be a perfect place to visit. Okay, this is a picture of one of the rooms. The quality is not really good, but please believe me that that it was a fantastic adventure. Now, I'm not sure if you can see on the wall on the right and on the wall on the left, there are very tiny whitish squares next to two pictures. These are buttons to press. So when a visitor comes up to some of those, oh, you can see. Okay. So when a visitor comes to this picture or that, he or she can press this button and gets some more detailed information about the painting, about the painter, about the technical side of how it was produced, so to say, and it could also be an audio information in English. All right, this is what English Village in Second Life looks like. This is the main street, and there are several shops there, and there are 2 or 3, I can't remember very well at the moment, there are 2 or 3 shops, emporium-like shops in English Village. So I just introduced, I came with the students here to the main street and with their avatars, and I told them, okay, here we are in the village. This is your starting point. Come start your adventure here or anytime from your home. These were individual tasks, and just feel free to walk around, explore the village, and collect the information that I asked you to collect. Okay. Now, so this was the main part. That was the experiment, but students performed a lot of different activities, and these are the others. So first of all, the whole project started with exploring some culture islands. They were individual tasks. So at the very beginning, I sent, after some technical stuff that we had to do with the with the Second Life viewer, controls, avatar, and stuff. So the first individual task for them that would be connected with learning a foreign language was to show them some culture islands. And as I had elementary education in English, and as I had elementary education and German, and those in elementary education and therapy, they also had some command of English and German, but different levels. So I decided to show them the islands of the British Council and Goethe Institute in Second Life. So that was individual exploring of the islands. And then they were, so here Virtual World was as a cultural learning environment. And the task was to collect some information. What is there? Please explore the island, walk around, fly around, and please make a short one-page report on what interesting or what not interesting you have found there. So the output was individual written reports and descriptions for open discussions then, and some group debates. I also, for my research needs, I read all those individual reports and I analyzed data. But for them, I wanted the reports to be material to share with their colleagues, students. Now, the next step was language lessons. traditional or not formal or informal language lessons. There was also an individual task. So I introduced to them two islands. First was Virtlantis, and the second was Cyprus Chat, Second Life. The islands where students can learn different languages for free. So teachers don't get paid, and students don't pay for education or for classes. It's not actually any program. They are individual classes, but nobody pays. I asked my students to go to Virtlantis and to go to Cyprus Chat, and at the landing point, there is, in both places, there is a detailed schedule of what will be happening throughout the coming next 2 weeks coming, or within a month. And I gave them excuse me, they could choose freely which class or what class they would like to join. And I asked them, I told them actually, to choose one class at Virtlantis and one class at Cyprus Chat. And that here, as above, in the output, they gave very short descriptions or very short reviews of those classes. The second part of this language lessons task was, please take another class but you are free to choose if this is Virtlantis, if this is Cyprus Chat, and you decide which island you chose. You decide which class you would like for the second try, and then also write in your short report why you have chosen this island, why this level, why this class, or why this teacher. And I must tell you, excuse me, that it was also a very interesting material for me to read. Okay, and then the experiment came. So chronologically, I thought this is enough. This is a good point for my students, that they are now ready to do some more excuse me, sophisticated, so to say, task on their own. So here the experiment came with the Dresden Gallery and with shopping. And then afterwards, I wanted to have some English classes where I was the teacher, and I called that Lesson 3D by Paul Twine, because I wanted my students to, I wanted to show my students how to take the most of the immersive features of this environment of the virtual world, like Second Life. So we had, I wanted to use holodecks, interaction with objects, and so on and so forth. And here I didn't check their language gain, because they were individual classes. There was not a series of classes. So in the output, I had surveys comparing how they had to compare virtual classes to their physical life language classes at Adam Mickiewicz University. And at the very end of the experiment, this was a group task. I asked my students to explore Second Life in small groups, and to find places that, in their opinions, would be that they would recommend as a good learning places, not only for English, not only for languages. And they presented short PowerPoint presentations in front of their groups. And then we also discussed those places in class. Okay, so this is a fragment of one of the holodecks on the island of Vitlantis with the apartment. So the task was one of the tasks. While I was teaching, I also gave the students the tasks. One of them was please peep into the refrigerator and please imagine we're going to have some guests in the evening, and let's plan what we will be eating and drinking. Then we went upstairs, and now please take a few moments and think, how would you dress for tonight's evening when we will go, for example, to the theater or to a party or to a sports meeting? Okay. Now, coming to functionality, this was the main, because today's presentation is actually a research presentation. So I would like to concentrate on the key functionality. So I had the following classification. I distinguished 4 categories of functionality: cognitional and instructional, emotional and motivational, performative and interactive, and technical and tool. Now, each of them I divided into 2. I will not discuss them at the moment because time does not allow. I will just read them, but I think it's pretty clear. So cognitional and instructional. This, first of all, it was cultural cognitional functionality, where students would, I assumed that students will have higher culture gain in 3D than in 2D learning environments. Effective functionality, I assumed that students will have higher language gain in 3D than in 2D. In emotional and motivational functionality, I assume that the students will have higher emotional impressions from 3D environments and from learning there than from 2D learning environments. And the students will declare higher motivation when performing learning tasks in 3D than in 2D. Now, performative and interactive functionalities, the students will give higher value to the virtual world as an environment for educational tasks and linguistics activeness during lessons. And students will prefer voice-to-text communication in group classes, in language lessons. You know, those on Verklantis and Cyprus chat. And students will assess positively the virtual world as a socio-interactive environment in language learning tests. Now, as for the technical and tool functionality, students will estimate the technical threshold of Second Life on the medium level. Not too difficult, not too easy. Not very easy, but not too difficult. And students will estimate the tool threshold of Second Life browser on the high level. As we know from literature, this is what many educators complain, that the steep learning curve with the browser itself, with the viewer itself. So that was interface functionality. Okay, so now the results. Almost all of the hypotheses were confirmed. So the virtual world of Second Life proved to be a functional or highly functional learning environment. In some tasks, the virtual world proved to be a more enhancing environment for language learning than a 2D environment in the physical life. That's interesting, really. But the students confirmed what I. Oh, wow. How much time do I have, Carol?
About, I don't know, about 5 or 6 minutes.
Okay, good. That's good. So, all right. What I usually say at conferences that we're talking about totally virtual environments, but sometimes this virtual environment creates a more real language situation that you can find in real life classrooms. because in real life classrooms, when you perform a simulation activity at the airport, for example, or in the hotel, okay, in the hotel, you don't have the reception in the classroom, you don't have the shelves, there's no a lobby around the corner. However, here, the 3D works. So left and right works, up and down works. Here you can not literally take somebody by the hand, but you can ask somebody to follow you and you go there. In the classroom, you cannot go there. So ironically, sometimes these 3D virtual world classes the students may find them more more like real life situations. Okay, but what is not confirmed? Voice over text. That was interesting because I hoped that the students would be enthusiastic, that they could speak to all the different people from different corners of the world during the classes. No, they majority preferred text chatting. Now, technical tool difficulties. They found this not at high level as I had assumed, but on the low level, probably because I put much effort at the very beginning of the project to take care of my students and to give them good technical training before performing then activities. And I also developed some collaboration techniques, and so that the students helped each other with the viewer, with the avatar, changing clothes and stuff. There was something else. Please excuse me. I will go back just for a second because I wanted to mention something else, and I forgot what it was. Okay, never mind. So almost all of the hypotheses confirmed. Here in the red on the bottom of the screen here, you have the very short statistical information. So I used t-tests of significance, differences mean based on students' t-distribution, and all the results were statistically significant. With P as well. Okay, you can read that. I don't have to read it. So summing up, this was hard work. There was a lot of work, and that is all in the book. The book is pretty big. It's more than 400 pages, but I wanted to describe it in detail. I think the methodology that I worked on, that I developed, worked well. Not all worked well, of course, but I'm happy that those things that did not work well were rather minor things, not the major things. And after the whole experiment, I provided some extra questionnaires, which were anonymous, because again, I wanted to collect some information and their opinions from Second Life again, and from the experiment, from the project again. And here I had some very interesting and positive feedback, which I was very happy, because I didn't teach them anymore, so they didn't have to. There was volunteer. They didn't have to take those questionnaires, those surveys, but majority of them did. So that's it. Thank you very much for your patience. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Paulus. That's really interesting. I'm amazed at that last one. I would have thought that the learning curve in Second Life might prove to be an overwhelming obstacle, and just saying that it wasn't proven at all. That's amazed me.
Yeah, it amazed me too.
Yeah, fantastic. Oh, there is hope. There's hope for virtual worlds.
Yes, yes,
a very small voice.
Yeah.
Okay, are there any questions, anybody? Because it's 12 minutes past whatever hour. Go on then, whoever that is. Is that Kaylee?
Okay, it's Kaylee. Yeah, Paulus, thank you very much. That was really interesting. I was just curious. You mentioned at the start that Second Life is not very popular in Poland. Is there a reason that you can discern for that? And
Yes.
did your students' overall attitude to Second Life change as a result of their involvement in the research?
Yes, this is probably maybe because the educators in Poland are not aware of those environments. Because it is, if there's little or almost nothing about it in pedagogical literature, then we shouldn't be surprised that educators don't know. If the educators don't know, then we shouldn't be surprised that students don't know. Actually, this technology is far more difficult from the technical point of view than Facebook or Twitter's or these tools. So no wonder that some students who even go for Second Life, they withdraw because that's too difficult. Now, what was the second part of your question?
Well, the second part was then, having been through the activities as part of your research, what was the students' sort of overall opinion of or attitude towards Second Life?
It was positive or very positive. They stressed the affordances of those environments. Limitations too, of course. It's not that I'm not giving you my opinions. I'm repeating the students' opinions right now. It's not that those environments or as tools or as learning environments should or will replace other tools or environments. But for some tasks, they said it's really very interesting. They loved exploring different islands in Second Life, and they loved the last activity I gave them, which was please explore in those small groups. Please explore potential nice educational places in Second Life, and then make a short PowerPoint presentation for the other students. And then I shared all that output, so every student had access to each and every presentation, and they were positively excuse me, their opinions were positive. What happened next, I don't know, because they graduated, they spread, I don't know.
Carol?
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, Osler?
Just a quick remark. Most of you know this, but in Germany, it's hardly worth one's while mentioning Second Life. People know nothing about it, but they've read sensational things, reports from years ago when the German police found a lot of child pornographers in Second Life, and it's amazing in such an advanced country as Germany, but they're kind of they seem to be they're scandalized when I tell them I use internet banking. And so in the field of education, it's a really hard task to get anything going at all, from my experience.
Yeah, I think a lot of us have had that. It took me 2 years to get permission to do lessons in Second Life, because nobody was going to actually give me permission and have their name at the higher levels linked with something so dreadful as the reports we saw in the newspaper. So yes, I can absolutely understand that. I think, I don't know whether things are changing now. I mean, Second Life seems to have disappeared into the background as far as the media is concerned, unless anybody can tell me different. I don't very often see it mentioned anywhere these days, so I think it's getting more credibility for education. Okay, are there any more questions for Paulus? Because if not, oh, sorry, go on. I heard a voice, I heard a breath.
That was a breath for coffee, I guess.
A coffee. Okay, yes, we do have just we have 43 minutes, folks, before the symposium by University, and that will be in the main temple area on the hour of the next hour, wherever you are. So 43 minutes to have a break, have a wonder, have a coffee. And thanks for being here. I'm sorry I'm such a dreadful host. I wasn't expecting to be host at all, but we've got through it, and I think our timing's not too bad. So have a break and have a coffee. Thank you very much, Hayley and Paulus.
Thank you. A short question, if you allow. Is it okay if I leave this presentation for this break, if anybody would like to click back and forth and look through it? And I will delete that before the session starts, as a promise.
Oh, you can probably leave it here for a couple of hours. I don't think there's a room in, there's not a meeting in here now. Oh, for about, oh gosh, about 8 hours. So you can certainly leave it here for 2 or 3 hours for anyone to have a look through, no problem.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks ever so much, Paulus. Thanks ever so much, Kaylee. And let's go and have a cup of coffee, and I'll see you all back in the temple area in about 40 minutes. Cheers.
Everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bye-bye.